Hi, good to see you back here again. We're moving on in the preparatory melodies to solo workbook. This is number 24. It's entitled Animato, which means animated. Nice to have some words we can understand in Italian. I hope you like this one. I'm just going to toot through it and then mention a couple of things that I've noticed when I hear people play this that can kind of trip you up. So the more experience you have with these things, the better off you're going to be. So here we go. Okay, short and sweet, like most of these. One thing that's a little tricky about this one is that you have a contrast between the duple and the triple rhythms. So the first note that you play is an eighth note, and the next note that you play is a triplet eighth note. So most people see the triplets, and they start at the beginning. So they're thinking, yeah, da, 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 da. They got the triplet subdivision in their mind, and they're going, da, da, which now they're playing the eighth note as if it were a triplet eighth. Now, this is a little picky, you see, but if you want to be an orchestra player especially, a soloist has more flexibility. We'll talk about that in a second. But if you want to be an orchestra player, you have to be pretty meticulous about these things, and that's the starting point. Just play literally what you see. So that everybody knows that that's what's on the page. This is what it sounds like. So what I'm going to do is I have to have that. So I'm always using an eighth note subdivision for the pickups. However, he's a little tricky. He changes it later on in the piece to a 16th note, and then we have so it's on the third line. Da 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 da. Da da, da 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 da, and so you have to get in that groove. So it's like you're running alongside someone and you're keeping exactly the same pace. It's like, you know, it's like two conveyor belts that are coming into synchronization with one another and they're moving forward. Tempo is always about flow. So you have to get into that flow. If you think vertically, if you try and count it and subdivide it mathematically in your head, if that works for you, great. But for me, it's a feel thing. So that's the way I practice it. So we have the eighth note pickup, now the 16th note pickup. Now you're going to notice also that sometimes it's challenging when you're going back and forth between slurring and tonguing to keep the rhythm correct. There can be some physical challenges with that. And that's something else to listen for. So even though it's smooth, see, when you do it with the tongue, you can feel the actual physical motion. You feel the physical sensation that reinforces your idea of rhythm. This is something that we deal with a lot of times when people tap their foot. I've got some great stories about this, but I'm not going to take your time with them now. Tapping your foot is a natural thing to do. You know, when we hear music, we move our body, and tapping the foot is one of the reactions. It just kind of happens. So that means we're getting the feel of the rhythm physically. And that's what we need to do. But what you want to do is then transfer that physical thing, like what you're doing with the tongue or tapping your foot, into a perceptual thing that's happening in your mind. So you can feel just as confident with the subdivision that you're hearing in your mind's ear as you do with tapping your foot or tonguing. And that can be challenging. You have to, listen to yourself carefully, record yourself, investigate to see whether you're getting the result that you want. That's the best advice I can give you here. Now, there's one other thing that might be a problem for some folks, and that is we have some lip slurs. So you're going along, having a jolly good time at the beginning, and those notes you can keep even. You'll notice, you see that's all every time you have a triplet eighth, your fingers move. The valves are going up and down, so there's your rhythm. But then you get to spots where you have to have that same dee 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 dom 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 dom, and the technique of doing that, because it's a lip slur and the fact that the valves don't move, can kind of conspire together to make it feel a little bit awkward. And of course, the first thing to try is just slow it down, and then do it without valves, as in singing or buzzing, for example. Just try and get it to. So you're getting that feeling in. Then when you play it, you compare it and see, is that even? So there's two questions. Is it rhythmically solid? And the next question is it comfortable? Is it easy? Is it fun? Is it fun physically to do that? Or does it feel, awkward or strange or, whatever? Something that's not the way you want it. And your body is telling you this all the time. So those are just a few little hints I can give you on this one. It's pretty short. One other issue, which we encounter over and over again here and in a great deal of other music, so it's a good chance for us to work on it in a simple context, is dynamics. And I won't say too much more about this, but just one way to practice it. I've mentioned this in some of the other episodes, but it's certainly worth mentioning again, because most players are not necessarily paying all that much attention to it, and those who are may be making it kind of too important or too difficult for them to do, and that is these quick, instantaneous, big dynamic changes. So you're going along playing piano, so that's something for you to work to get comfortable with. Quick suggestion is, and I use this very frequently in my practice, almost every day, you need to see where you are. So first find this where the sound rings easily, and it's very delicate. And once you find that, it's like, there it is. Stabilize, get in the flow of the sound. And until it feels like this is easy, it's comfortable. And then when you get to the end of the passage, as soon as I go to the forte, I can immediately tell I'm just trying a little bit too hard. Da, da, and that's a very common reaction that a lot of players have. We've mentioned it before. Da. So they force when they play loud, and they clam, they close up when they play soft, or get tighter when they play soft. Stay even, and that's something you can experiment with by just putting a pause so that you're ready for the big dynamic change. You see, I'm practicing the simple transition from forte to piano. On subito dynamic changes, that's a great thing to do. So, a lot of information there. Some of it you've heard before, some of it you're probably working on right now, I hope. I hope you enjoy your practice. That's very important, and come back and visit me again when you have a chance. I'll see you later on. Bye-bye.